Okay. Just looking to see when I get the alert. You got it?
Yeah.
New World Order. He's always the first one, Reggie. Whenever I saw him join, he'd always be the first one in.
Yeah. What up, the world? DBZ? DBZ. How you doing, brother? How you brothers doing today? Y'all having a good Thursday? Getting ready for the Super Bowl? Yes, sir. Boogie son. What up, dog? Boogie son. Okay.
His usernames, huh? Some crazy stuff, huh?
Boogie son.
No.
I had a niece we call Ty. They named her son Ty son. Damon 3B, okay. User BP. Bye. Man, you too long. Stray Box. Okay, Straight Boxing Podcast. Okay. Reggie, what you think about Prince Miller and Jay Prince interview? We did a Jay Prince song. Let me make sure you say Jay Prince.
Yeah.
We did a Jay Prince interview about 5 years ago. Yeah. It was pretty cool when his book came out. What up to the FBA family? Okay, FBA. What's that, Fat Black in America? FBA family. Bomb first is the most connected to the most respected. Respect, thanks for saying that, Marco. So today we're going to have one of the 2Pac's cousins, Bill Lussain, going to come on and do some Q&A with you guys. And then later on, we're going to have Mike Dorsey come on, update us on something that's going on with Kefi D, and talk about the different things he got over there on Murder Rap Channel, one of the old channels that has lately been up and coming.
Yeah.
And doing a great job on some documentaries for YouTube. I think you've been doing a great job. Reg, NBA trade deadlines. Yeah. Anthony Davis, huh? What you think about that? AD and Trey Young might work out if they can stay on the court in DC. I don't understand how the groupie and the snitch is still in business. Well,
right now.
That's all they got, you know. That's all they got. But trust me, they just doing this for entertainment. Trust me, that check that they getting, shit, they can get that from. Huh. Trust me, they just doing it for fun. So it's all good. They're not doing it for money, for sure. Some people just like attention. Some people just like attention. Reggie, your thoughts on Jay-Z? Yeah, I'm not one to believe it. Just because you know rich people, meaning you was doing bad things. I don't want to believe he was doing stuff to young kids. I don't want to believe that. I think that was just him trying to get in hanging around with rich adults. You know, sometimes you gotta rub elbows with those type of men to get accepted. I remember Suge. I think I told y'all this time before. We went to a gay party, a male gay party.
Really?
We knew they were all gay men in there. That's why we tell y'all about the joke about a man that don't have no hair on their face. Or generally, not saying all, but 90% of the gay men that you know don't have any hair on their face. And we went into that party. Remember, me and Butcher is in there. We should have and left eye.
Oh, okay.
And we noticed, we was like, oh boy. We got all these gay men in here with no hair facial on there. On them. No, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying all, but trust me, 90% of the gay men you know don't have any type of hair on their face. Look at the hottest person on YouTube right now, or in the media, Don Lemon. Look how they look. That's generally how they look. No disrespect to Don Lemon. I actually kind of like his boldness. Somebody said, Nicole, what are you asking me? Do I have more? Or Reggie? I bought a black and red Death Row East t-shirt. Yeah, you have to talk to John about that. I don't know if he's still pushing that website or not.
Yeah, they're on there.
Okay.
They just sit there. I'll give them the link in the chat. There you go.
Yeah,
so why did you go? Because you knew it was like influential.
The doctor invited us, the guy we was renting the house from.
Okay.
And he was also a found writing show prescriptions.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when he had, yeah, that's all I'll say. He was the right prescription for his teeth.
Gotcha.
I would say that. 24 Big Coop. You asked me any Roger Troutman stories. You asked me that towards the last interview. And I said I would address it on our next live stream. So I'll get to that. Let me shout out a couple of more people, then that'd be my first story I'll tell. Reggie, you're a snake, okay? You know me. I really wonder if you know me. You're a snake. You're lying to the people. You know what you did. You're a straight bogus. You tell me, what did I do? What did I do to people to make you say that I'm a snake, Darren? What up, Bill?
What's up, Reg? How you doing, my brother?
Good. Give us a couple more minutes. We just wait for a few people to get in.
No doubt.
Just after talking to them for a minute, I got to tell one story, and then we'll get to you. The guy asked me to tell about Roger Troutman. I'll tell that story right quick.
Okay.
But I'm asking this guy. But no, you stay there.
Okay.
This guy called me a snake, and I'm asking him, what do I do to him, like he knows me, to call somebody a snake? You have to know somebody or been done wrong by them to call somebody that. Anybody could get on here and call people names all day. We hide behind keyboards. None of us gonna see each other pretty much in public. I'm just trying to talk to you as a grown man to obviously a young man that's kind of disturbed. What would make you come on this channel and call me a snake? I really would like to know that. John, I sent you I know you don't like to play other people's stuff, but it was on Instagram. I sent you yesterday something from somebody when they were talking about.
Yeah, I remember that.
If you could kind of edit that out when you do, I really want to play this to people, so they can understand that. But we'll do that later in the day, you know.
Okay. I'll get it ready though.
Okay, thanks. Reggie, Neckbone. Reggie, is Neckbone cool with FG? I'm not sure of their relationship, but Compton is small. Compton is real small. So you'll find out that everybody knows each other and has some type of dealings with each other at one point. Mainly from my childhood. That's why I always try to tell y'all, all of us mainly grew up playing little league sports together. And then as they got older, then everybody started going different ways, for what just happened in the neighborhoods. Some go to school and become geeks. Some go and become athletes. Some become gangsters. Some become gang members and gang bangers. So you have all of that in a community of people. I don't want to hold up my boy Bill too long because I know he's on the East Coast and it's late, but I'll tell the story because I promised you last time. You know what, Boogie? I'll go ahead and tell the story right quick. Roger Troutman came around through Dre. He was having tax issues, major tax issues. And Death Row was balling, man, back in the mid-90s. Suge get a bad rap by a lot of us. As like we were tight, like he was tight with money and cheating everybody out of money and stuff like that. Suge's an asshole, yes. But Suge is not one to, he's very generous when he has I don't want to say a motive, but if you got a talent and there's a way that he could benefit off of each other, he's very generous, y'all. Suge, yeah, people really give Suge a bad rap for that. But so Roger Troutman needed some money, and he was having some tax issues, and he needed, I think, $100,000 or something. He needed some money for that song that he did on California Love for Pac. Well, actually, for Dre first. It was actually for Dre. Suge gave him $100,000 cash, just on some lookout. They one hand washes another, and gave him 100 G's. He had a brother that was kind of like Bill was with Tupac. That was kind of like hung around him, was around him, and all of that. That just looked out for him, and try to keep him at bay. Be like a buffer between people, because if y'all don't know anything about artists, man, they got a weird side. I'm talking about when you're a painter, when you're a hell of a basketball player. Artists is just different. And Roger Troutman was that way. But he had a brother named Larry, I think his name was. The one that I think ended up shooting him and killing him. I forget how that goes. But his brother Larry was like, and so that was dealing with him. So we was in the Bahamas, and Roger wanted some more money, some cash and stuff. And Suge had already gave him some more money. And the beats that they came up with, Suge he didn't really like and whatever. And they got into a big argument at this studio in Bahamas called Campo Studio, to the point where the brother was agreeing with Suge or whatever the issue was. And I remember the brother just started slapping Roger and trying to control him because Roger was running up and down the street. It was just, me, Suge, and then Roger and his brother out there. And the brother just, thank God, was the one that, dealing with him. I say all that to say Roger was just crazy. And, emotional, I guess the word is. That's a story. We went and saw him one time in Redondo Beach. Me, Pac, Kevin Hackey. Y'all heard Tyron Turner talk about it. When we got into it with some Mexicans in Redondo Beach. And little things broke out. We went out to support Roger. And Pac got up there and performed, kind of lie. And went out there to support Roger and did a nice show in Redondo Beach. And those are the only dealings that we had with Roger Troutman. So hopefully that's a couple of stories for you, man. You had asked me on the last stream, man, and I told you I would answer it, so that's why I took your question right first. What we here for today is with my boy, William Lesane. I have a few questions for him, but this is going to be, y'all know how we do it on our live streams at Bomb First. we just try to talk to you guys and let y'all ask us questions.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, you know, we're gonna let him talk for a minute, and then we're gonna take some questions and then see how it goes. Bill Lussain is Tupac cousin. Y'all saw him over at Art Channel. Man, he did a hell of a job over there at Art Channel. And did some great interviews. I even think he helped. In my thing, the way it appeared to me, and I know how Art get down, I think he helped him bring about 2 or 3 other brothers over there. But he probably don't want to speak on that because he don't want to put him in art business out there. But I think he's the one that got there's a couple of brothers over there that came on right after him that I really think he helped facilitate that interview for them over there. If he want to speak on that, he can. If not, we'll pass that. But Bill is a dude that was around, always cool, always very respectful the times that I dealt with him. And even afterwards, he treats me like he's assured me that the family don't believe all that bull crap that y'all be letting other people on the internet push about Reggie having something to do with the murder of Tupac or the unaliving of Tupac. And so, but y'all know what I care. It hurts me, like I always tell y'all. But as long as people like him is not saying it, I can really give a crap of what people that didn't even know Pac, other than buying a record, has to say. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop talking because we're here for Bill today. Let Bill take the floor, him or John. John takes the questions. I let him talk the book with Jeff Pearlman, anything he read in there he want to address. And we're just gonna let Bill talk, and then we'll do the Q&A with him. Thanks for coming on, Bill. Man, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with us.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome back to Bombverse. Yes,
What's
sir.
up, Reggie? I'm glad to be on your platform. First, I want to shout you out, man, for doing such a great job on your platform, man. You know, letting us know a lot of things that took place during the Death Row era, during the Tupac era. You know, I appreciate that, man. And I want to give a shout out to Art of Dialogue, man, if you don't mind, man. I just want to give a shout out to them, man, because they did give me the first opportunity to get on their platform and tell my story. You know, what's so dope about the social media environment is that people who have stories now have a platform to tell their stories.
Yeah.
You know, now we can hear from people that we only heard about, you know, but didn't know too much about. But because of social media, because of YouTube, and because of these podcast platforms like yours, Reggie, you know, people like us can come on your platform and tell some stories, man, that, you know, is what people want to know. You know, true, authentic, transparent stories that people want to know. So thank you for having me on your platform.
Respect. John, I know you usually be having some questions tucked in. If you want to ask, and then I'll be scrolling down and seeing if anybody typed any questions for Bill. John, if you can take it for a minute.
Okay. I guess, Bill, I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure you've covered this in an interview, but for people that maybe haven't seen it, can you tell me like where you were and how you found out when Tupac was shot in Vegas?
Yeah, when Tupac was shot in Vegas, I was in jail here in Georgia. I was in a jail called the DeKalb County Jail. I was in DeKalb County, obviously, but I was in jail, man. You know, a little bit of backstory. Tupac had just left Atlanta in November. Last time Tupac came to Atlanta was November, right after he got out of jail. He got out of jail September, I believe, or October. He got out of jail in October. And the next month, October 95, Reg, right? October 95, he got out of jail.
Yeah, October the 12th, yes.
Yeah, October 95, he got out of jail. And then right after he got out of jail, he came to Atlanta. And he brought a couple of Death Row people with him. He brought Bogart with him. You remember Bogart, Reg?
Yeah, but those was his boys from Bogart and Big Syke was with him from before, you know, from Me Against the World, Thug Life time. Yes.
Okay. I thought
he was
Bogart
really cool with Big Syke from the IBC, I guess.
Right. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up because I thought he was from Death Row.
No,
But-
Bogart wasn't that guy.
Okay. He bought. Okay, so Bogart was with him. There was someone else that was with him, but he came back to
Probably
Atlanta.
Big Syke and Kevin Hackey.
Kevin. Okay, it was Kevin
Yeah.
Hackey.
Yeah,
I
Hackey.
don't think Syke was with him though, because I don't
Okay.
remember seeing Syke.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing Syke, but he did have someone from Death Row with him, and it was probably Kevin Hackey.
Yeah, definitely Hackey. Hackey was his main guy for about 2 or 3 months when he first came home. Yeah.
Got it. So, Pac came and he spent Thanksgiving with us.
Correct. That was
And-
Kevin.
Yeah, he spent Thanksgiving with us, man. And we had what we did, man, we had a tradition. We'll play football every Thanksgiving. We played football. And we played football. We went to a couple of clubs while he was here. But the day that he left, the night that he left, he wanted me to, I was supposed to come back with him to LA.
Okay.
But my shit was fucked up. I was in the street. I was getting high. I was on drugs.
Okay.
And he didn't want me around him in that kind of position.
Yeah.
But I remember when I hugged him before he left. And I remember, I'll never forget it, when I hugged him, I had this feeling come over me that I would never see him again.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God, Reg, it was this eerie feeling that came over me when I hugged him, man, that I would never see this dude again. And it was true. I never saw him again. So when he got killed, when he got ambushed in Vegas and eventually died, I was in jail. I was calling my sister Moo every day. I was calling my sister Moo to get updates on Tupac. And the updates were like, at first, it was like he's going to make it.
Yeah.
He had some damage. His lung collapsed. His fingers were shot off.
Correct.
But he was going to make it. They were positive that he was going to make it. There was positive attitudes about it, that he was going to make it, right?
Okay.
And I kind of felt good about that because I was like, that was like the second time my cousin got ambushed.
Yeah.
And sitting in jail, hearing about him getting shot another 5 times or whatever it was, I think 7 times or whatever, just to hear my sister say that he was going to make it, it made me feel good.
Yeah.
But then when I was calling after that, I was hearing different, like,
Yeah, about Wednesday, about Tuesday, Wednesday, it started changing.
Right, because he was in a coma, right?
Yeah, and then he was starting to have those, they were having to resuscitate him. He was having problems, and that's when Afeni decided this the last time. But yeah, go ahead, I'll let you tell it.
No, that's true. Like, probably after because he died on a Friday. He died Friday the 13th, right?
Correct.
He died on a Friday. So it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I was starting hearing something different, man, about his condition. And then I remember when I called, they told me that he died, that Fanny.
Yeah.
She
didn't want him going that more. I remember she told everybody the day before, she's not going to let him resuscitate him anymore. That was the last time. She told everybody. Yeah.
Right. She didn't want them to keep bringing him back because he was going in and out.
Correct.
And she didn't want them to keep bringing him back. So when he died, I remember, man, it was like I almost had a nervous breakdown because there was niggas in my pod that was talking crazy.
Yeah.
When Pac died. Some niggas celebrated his death.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't know how real people that didn't live it don't know how.
They were lame ass niggas. They were lame ass niggas. And I tell you, Reg, like, I mean, it was very hard for me not to stab one of them niggas, man. It was very, very hard because I was coming home. See, the whole idea, I couldn't come home because I was on probation. I had a probation violation. I couldn't come home, couldn't get a bail. But my time was coming up. My day was coming up. My discharge date was coming up, and I didn't want to jeopardize that. And plus, the COs and the clergy people that was in the jail I was at, they knew Tupac was my cousin, so they came to see about me. They took me out the pod, and I spoke to the clergy, and they tried to arrange visits for me and stuff like that, but I couldn't get out. But long story short, that's where I was at when I found out that Tupac died. And I felt, it was very traumatic for me because I was supposed to be with him. You know, I was Tupac's
Yeah.
right-hand man. You know what I'm saying? Like literally,
Yeah.
like everywhere he went, I went. And it wasn't
Correct.
because I was a tough guy or anything like that. You know, I wasn't a cowardly guy, but
He
I
just
wasn't a
trusted
tough
you.
guy. You know, yeah, he
Yeah.
trusted me. And he
Yeah.
knew that I would get down if I had to get down. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
But I wasn't no tough guy. I wasn't no killer, nothing like that. But I was a thorough, solid dude. You know what I'm saying? And he knew that. And he trusted me. So, you know.
Tell us some of the locations you were with him. One thing that we know of out here in the public that you were with him.
Okay.
You know, like at the Marine City or
Yeah, no, I
the
wasn't
incident
in Marine
Atlanta.
City. So a lot of the times,
Okay.
a lot of the shit that happened, I was in jail for. But there was a lot of
Okay.
shit that happened that I
You
was
sound
out
like
for.
Neckbone. You sound like Neckbone.
Yeah. I was in jail, you know what I mean? But I remember one thing particular, and Daz told this story. I heard Daz tell this story a couple of months ago when
Okay.
Snoop called Pop to come to Can-Am to do a
Okay.
song. And when he called Pop, we was already in Oakland. We was in
So
the Bay.
this was before he signed for Death Row.
This was pre-Death Row.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was pre-Death Row. We was in the Bay attending Shock G's funeral.
Okay.
Right? Shock G was getting married and we attended his funeral, me and Pop. It was just me and
Okay.
Pop. Right?
Okay.
And he got a call from Snoop while we was at the funeral to come to LA. I got some money for you. I think Snoop said 60 G's. Dad said it was 30. But I thought, I remember 60. But anyway, Pop was like, hell yeah, I'm on my way. So he left the wedding and we came to Can-Am. And in the studio, it was Daz, it was Nate Dogg, it was Snoop, it was Ricky Harris.
Yes.
And Suge came by. That was the first time I met Suge personally.
Okay.
Right?
So
Suge
you
came
probably
by.
talking about for the taping of Above the Rim, just for people to know. Yes.
Right. The song Hard on the Nigga. Him and Snoop did Hard on the Nigga.
Yeah. Correct.
Right? And Daz talked about this, but I was there at the studio when he did that song with Pop. And then when you remember the Soul Train Awards, I think it was 93 or 92.
When they brought the lowrider out on the stage?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I was there with Pop for that.
Okay.
And I didn't meet Suge, but I met Dre that day.
Yeah.
Right? I met Dre that day. But during that time, pre-Death Row, we was in LA all the time, and it was always talk about Pac going to Death Row then. But Pac didn't want to go to Death Row at that time.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Pac at that time, he wanted to be independent. And plus, to be honest with you, he thought he was going to have a problem with Suge. Because he was like, we were saying a lot of shit about Suge, you know, smacking niggas up all the time.
Yeah.
Word is born.
Yeah.
And Pac used to be like, man, if that nigga ever put his hands on me, it's gonna be, you know,
it's gonna be trouble.
It's gonna be drama. And plus, and trust me, and you know, Pac back then, even though he wasn't with the Row, we was mashing in LA, man, back then. You know what I'm saying? And we had problems of our own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
were you with Church and him at the spot at the comedy club when him and Church got into it?
No, I think I can't remember. I know what happened. I don't know if I was there. I can't remember, but I know what happened. I remember being at a club. You know, every time we went to a club in LA, it was always drama because Pac would wear a blue bandana one day, he'll wear a red bandana the next day, and it would be drama. Everywhere we went, it'd be drama, you know? So I know what happened with Tretch. I don't remember if I was there or not.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was there. But so when we came to do Hard on a Nigga, that was the first time I saw Pac and Suge really start kicking it.
Okay.
Right? And Suge and Pac had just bought that 6'4", right? He had just bought that 6'4", and Suge was like, I heard you got a 6'4". He was like, yo, I got the spot you can bring it to, and I'll hook it up for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Suge was, by the way, man, like, I had a couple of experiences with Suge, personally. He came to my store in Atlanta after Pac died. And and Reg, I think you was talking to Mob James about this. I think you was talking to Mob James about when Suge came to Atlanta to see Faney.
Okay.
I think this was back in 2000, 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
Right? He came to see
I think
Fame.
it might have been a little later because Suge was in
About
jail.
2001, right?
Maybe 2002, 2002, 2003. Because that's when Timmy Rue and all them started hanging around him. Because I know Timmy Rue came.
Who came? Because Suge came to my store. He came. I got some pictures. I got pictures.
I had left by then. I had left in 2000, early part of 2002. But I'm pretty sure that was like Biggie and Timmy Rue and all of them is the ones that went down there with him to Atlanta.
Yeah, okay, maybe it was Timmy Rue. He had an armed security guard with him.
A big Quez. They called him Big Quez.
Yeah, he had a female with him. Like his assistant was a female.
Yeah.
And he came to my store, right? And I had a record store in Atlanta. And he came to my store. When he came to Afeni's house, him and Afeni talked for a long time.
Correct.
Privately. And then I went in Afeni's room while Suge was in there talking to her. And I pulled him to the side and I said, yo, I want you to come to my store. You know, I want my people to see you. I want you to come to my store. And he said, cool. So about a couple of hours later, he pulls up to my store.
Okay.
He comes to my store. And I got a lot of people, like all the people from my neighborhood, like from the community, is at my store to see Suge Knight. Yeah. So in my store, Reg, I had a shrine of Tupac. I'm gonna send you a picture. I'm gonna send you a picture. Okay. I had a shrine of Tupac in my store. And when Suge came in my store, the first thing he did was went to that shrine. Okay. That I had a Tupac. And I remember, man, he stood at that shrine. It was like he was standing over that shrine. It's like it's CDs, it's candles, it's all kind of memorabilia that's on the shrine, and he's standing there, and he's looking at it, and he's in a trance. He's in a trance. It's like he's stuck in this trance of looking at this shrine of his boy. Yeah, you know, Suge full of shit for a lot of things, but Suge loved Tupac Shakur. Nah, I hate that he get the rock. I hate that he get the rap that he gets. I hate it too, Reg. I hate it too, man. Like I always tell niggas, man, like niggas can't talk bad about Suge around me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I always remind them of what he did. You know, Suge did a lot of great shit for people, man. Yeah, he did. You're right. He don't get the credit he deserved. He don't. He doesn't. He don't. He doesn't get the credit that he deserved. But I like Suge, man. I like, and I always liked him. But I like the way he moved. You know, I got my issues with Suge on the low. Like there's shit that, you know, that I wish didn't happen. He wouldn't have said, or yeah, you know what I'm saying? But as a man, I respect him. Gotcha. I respect him as a man. And then I tell a lot of people too, they have to remember that Suge was young. Suge was, me and Suge is the same age. I'm 62. Yeah, he was 30 at that time. How old are you? I'm a year younger than Suge. I'm 59 now. And Suge so you about 60? Suge is 60. Yeah. I'm 62. Right? Okay. Yeah. So Suge was young. Suge was younger than me, and I was wild back then. You know what I'm saying? And Suge was, but for him to have the success that he had as a young black man in that era, during that era, at that age, and what he was able to accomplish and what he did for his community, for the people that he brought with him, you know, you got to give him credit for that shit, man. Exactly. I say that all the time, you know, we were 28, 20, 29, 27 with all of that. Right. And people say, oh, y'all, that ain't no young man. That ain't, I'd be like, man, trust me. Y'all didn't have all the answers then. Like nobody did. Like nobody had, you know, like motherfuckers like Suge, you know, just out of his natural wits and intelligence and common sense, he was able to do what he did and accomplish what he accomplished. But he never went to school for that. He wasn't groomed for that. You know what I'm saying? For that kind of success. He picked that shit up on his own. You know, OJT. He learned while on the job. You know what I'm saying? And he picked it up, man, and he ran with it. You know, like a lot of other young black entrepreneurs back then. Correct. You know what I'm saying? So I have a hard time tearing him down, man, like other people do. I have a very hard time with that. And I have a very hard time with tearing any black man down who was able to climb out of their predicament and make a success out of their lives and bring people with them. You know what I'm saying? I have a hard time with that shit, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks. John, you got anything else? If not, I've seen a couple of questions I wanted to ask from the chat. If not, if you see them, you can get them too.
Yeah, no, go ahead with some chat questions, and then we'll come back in with some others.
Okay. Somebody want you to talk about Casanova the Don.
Casanova the Don. Oh, wow. Casanova the Don. Casanova the Don is the young man that I worked with way back about 15 years ago, maybe about almost 20 years ago. I worked with him because Reg, I never told you, but I'm a screenwriter.
Okay.
And even back then, I had a biopic that I wrote about my cousin based on my experiences with him, right? I wrote a biopic. And I raised a lot of money for the biopic, but it didn't see the light of day because of the lawsuit that Morgan Creek, set off against my aunts. They sued my aunt. And because they sued her, my
put
project,
everything on.
my project, it was on the back burner. But Casanova the Don was someone that I was talking to about possibly playing my Tupac in the biopic. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a good young man. He's very talented. I haven't seen him in a long time, but, I see him on social media. He has a social media presence, but we did work together and we had plans on putting him in the movie as Tupac.
Gotcha. One of my big supporters, a guy I like a lot, he loved DJ Quick, but DJ Gary wanted me to ask you, what do you think of the Are You Still Down posthumous album released after Pac death? And do you listen to any of his albums today? Do you have a hard time listening to his music or not?
Nah, so that's a good question. Are You Still Down was Pac's first album that we produced after he died. And we produced that album in LA. And I was there for the production of that album.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I was there for that production. So Are You Still Down is one of those albums, man, that's bittersweet in a lot of ways because the music that's on those albums was written during a time when Pac was going through the most turbulent time of his life, where all the stressful shit was going on, the arrests, the lawsuits and shit, the shooting, so yeah, that album has a special place in my heart because I was part of the production of that album back then. But as for his other albums, man, every now and then I go into a Pac zone where I'll just play Pac music all day.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, I'll just play Pac music all day. And some of the music that I play, it brings so much emotion out of me, that it's therapeutic for me.
Okay.
It's therapeutic for me, man, because, a lot of people don't realize, man, we suffered a great deal when we lost Pac. And we suffered traumatically.
Yeah.
And a lot of us is just coming out of that trauma.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And we play that music. I play that music, man, to keep me connected to his spirit and to motivate me. It motivates me to be the best person I can be every single day.
Isn't it crazy how this music just travels from 95, 96 all the way still to today?
Yo, some of that boy's music, man, let me tell you, Reg, that Machiavelli album, when I listen to Crazy and White Man's World, that does it for me, man. When I listen to Crazy and White Man's World, man.
Yeah, people get mad. I always tell John that's my favorite Tupac song, White Man's World.
Man, White Man's World, man, that's where you saw Pac's real brilliance on those songs, right? On Machiavelli, he got Bomb first. Of course, he's riding. You know what I'm saying? You got Toss It Up. You got all those songs. But when you go into songs like Crazy and White Man's World, you see the real Tupac. You get a chance to visit the real Tupac, listen to what he's really about, man, because he was so passionate and so honest on those songs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And what he was really about was freeing black people, man.
Yeah.
That kid loved black people. You know what I'm saying? And in his heart, that's what he was about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Jamila interview going over there on Art Currently.
Yeah,
With the clown, but I'm not gonna disrespect him while you with me.
yeah.
But so he's doing that interview right now. Anything, and for some reason they put it like I disrespected her, and I don't know how they get that from what I said. I just said some things that it's hard to dislike her because she's so cool. She come off so cool, and they switched that like I disrespected her somehow. But they just like to do that to people that's on the internet. But anything that you like to comment on that she said or didn't say? Because I thought she comes off as a laughable, a enjoyable, a happy person. And
That's who my sister is. My sister, she's my baby sister. She besides Castro is my baby brother.
Okay.
Moo is right after Castro, right?
Yeah.
And she always been like that. Like my sister is she's very outgoing, she's very loving, she's very accepting.
Yeah.
She's someone who's very personable. Like when you meet my sister, you're gonna like her right away because you're gonna like her swag. She has this swag, she has this New York swag that is personable, right? That brings people in instead of shutting people away. You know what I'm saying? And my sister, I think what she's doing in that interview, I think she's people are discovering certain things that happened during that time while Pac was on death row that they didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So I think she's revealing a lot of information that people don't know. My sister was never about doing interviews.
Correct.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
remember we talked about it. We talked about it about a year or two ago about doing it or something, and we kind of dropped it. I'd actually, she ever want to do something. I think after the documentary came out, we had talked about it.
Yeah, she was never about doing interviews on these on social media platforms.
Yeah.
I had to convince her to do it because she wants to promote her book. My sister is a writer. She writes children's books.
Okay.
And I told her it would be a good idea for her to go on a platform and promote her book. And I recommended Art's platform because I was on Art's platform.
Correct.
And, so I recommended that platform and I think she did great.
I think she did. Yes, I think
she did great. She can convey a message. She can tell a story, and that's what people want when they tune in to people like me or my sister. They want to hear stories, and you have to be able to tell these stories, right? That will resonate with people and connect with people. And my sister was able to do that. So I'm very proud of what she did.
Correct.
All the dialogue. I'm very proud of my sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, John, you got anything?
I guess I would want to say, Bill, I know Reggie touched on it a little bit, but there's a couple of people on YouTube that pretty much just make a living saying that Reggie was involved with this and that, and Reggie is, the Tupac family is against Reggie because of what he did. Obviously, I wouldn't ask you to speak for everybody, but can you just talk a little bit about you and Reggie's relationship and how you guys have got along and connected?
Okay, so I've heard what Reggie has been accused of. I've heard it. I heard it many, many times. What Suge was accused of. There was rumors that Suge had something to do with Pac's death, that he planned it, and he was trying to get Pac killed because he wanted to get off death row. I've been hearing that shit for years.
Yeah,
I've been hearing that shit for years. Hearing about Reggie, I just heard about what Reggie's been accused of, which is the same type of shit. Suge Reggie has something to do with Pac telling everybody not to bring guns to Vegas. And I'll say this: I wasn't with Pac when Pac was at death row, but I heard what Pac had to say about death row.
Yeah.
And I know the relationship that Pac had with Suge. That shit was an organic relationship. Pac and Suge together was like almond joy. It was like the almond and the coconut. You know what I'm saying? Them two niggas had a connection. You know what I'm saying? And I know that for a fact. We never believed anything that we heard about death row. as far as trying to hurt Pac. We never believed that. You know, speaking for myself, I'm from a different era. I'm from a different time. I ran with different kind of people. So I understand the nuances about those kind of relationships when I talk about Pac and Suge. I understand the nuances. It's not going to always be perfect. You know, there may be some back and forth here and there. There may be some disagreements. But the underlying factor is that they had a connection. They were close. That's what I seen. As far as Reggie is concerned, I remember Reggie from when I was living in Tarzana after Pac got killed. Remember that house we had in Tarzana, Reggie?
Correct. I remember. Yes.
I was living with the Outlaws in that house back in
I always
'98.
talk about how bad y'all had it, how they treated it.
Yeah, yo, they tore that house. Yo, I'm with you on yo, Reggie. Muta and Camille and them Muta, Camille,
and them damn dogs and them
Reef
pit bulls
and them dogs. Yo. Hey, Reggie, that was a beautiful fucking home, man.
Man, I tell you, that man cried. I had to cut that man a check for $37,000 for damages.
I believe it.
He cried.
I believe it, man. I believe it. Because you came up there every month to make sure we had money, make sure we had a fucking rental car. Even though we was tearing that house up, man. We was tearing that house up, man. And you made... I know you was losing patience with us, man, but you was always cool. You just come by and shit, drop off some money, make sure niggas had a car, you know, all that, man, while we was living out there. So, you know, Reggie, me and you we don't have a relationship like because I haven't seen you in years. I just see you on your platform, but I don't have a problem with nobody at Death Row, man. I don't, man, because I understand. I understand.
And even on that disarming people with the guns, there's audio out there. I won't have John play it now, but there's audio out there where Frank tells people why he didn't have his gun. And people want to run with that narrative, but Frank has said it in his book. Frank has talked about it on interviews.
Let me ask you this, Reg. Was it because this is what I heard. I heard that you guys couldn't bring guns because Vegas PD, they wouldn't allow Death Row security bring guns to Vegas.
Or technically you weren't supposed to, but you know, they give professional courtesy. But what it was for the people that was working the club. We had a special thing going on at that club where we were trying to get the permits for and everything. So the people working inside the club, it never was for the people that's with the bodyguards. And matter of fact, I think, John, this would be a perfect place if you can get that audio that we used to have set up where people just could hear, because I got to beat it up home because other people keep beating it up like I did it. Frank own words tells you.
In this particular time when I got to Vegas the night before September 6th, on September 7th, we had a meeting at this attorney's office. And at this attorney's office, his name was George Clinesis, something like that. And we were told by him, this attorney, that we couldn't carry our guns and this and that, you know, blah, 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 to the club that night. And it was three of us, like Michael Moore was one of them, myself, and Al Gittins, who is still with Snoop to this day, said, no, we carrying our guns. We're going to, we worked it out to where we were going to carry our guns, but we were going to have to leave them in our car while we were inside the club. Okay. And that's how my gun ended up in my car and not on my person that day. And I didn't have time to get my gun because my gun was on the other side of the valet where I had parked earlier that day. And when Pac and Suge was ready to go, they were ready to go. You know, and I couldn't get to my car. I had a SL 500 also, you know, at that time. And I couldn't get to it, so I didn't have it. You know, and Pac, I was getting in the car with Pac and Suge. I literally had my hand on the back door, opening the back door. And Pac stopped me and turned and said, hey, Frank, here's the keys to Kadada's car. You go drive with the Outlaws so you could be our designated driver and drive us back after we leave the club.
Yeah, I mean, I just tried to be there. Everybody always blamed me for being the one that said it. But when everybody was playing straight up and doing the interviews, they were telling the truth of what happened. But
Yeah, so here's my thing on that. My take on that is people are going to believe what they want to believe, man.
Correct.
No matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to convince them. Me, as an individual, as Tupac's cousin, I understand like the nuances. Like, I never thought that anybody at death row had anything to do with Pac getting killed. I thought that people were being irresponsible. I thought that, you know what I'm saying? But I never thought that anybody at death row, I don't care who you mention, I don't care if it's whoever from death row, had anything to do with Pac getting killed. None of us ever believed that. Correct. None of us ever believed that. We heard the rumors. We heard the rumors. And to be quite honest, you know, sometimes when you hear those rumors, you wonder. Yeah, you know, of course. Why are you hearing these rumors? You know, you wonder, but sensibly, none of us really believe it because it doesn't make sense. When you really get down to the bottom of it, when you get down to the bottom of what took place, it doesn't make sense that Tupac was killed because Death Row tried to kill him. Members of Death Row had something to do with Tupac's
telling you, those
death.
were worst days of our life. The weeks.
I know. I believe it, man. I believe it. I believe it, man. Like I said, I don't have any problem with anybody from Death Row. Yeah. I believe that what happened to Tupac was unfortunate, man. It was a tragedy, and I believe that it happened because people wasn't paying attention. People weren't thinking at the time, but over the years, I learned to chalk it up and say to myself, man, everybody on that scene at the time were young, man. And, you know, Tupac, you know, he stomped out a gangbanger. Tupac stomped out a gangbanger. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And my position about that was that Suge, Trey, whoever was around Pac at that time, I know Pac was impulsive. I know Pac was hard to handle. I know all that about Pac because I experienced the same thing. I experienced. You can't talk to that nigga. Once that nigga, you can't stop him a lot of times. Was his mind made up? Yo, you know what I had to do? My job. My mother and his mother. Pac was off the chain, yo. He was just catching cases after cases, man. Yeah. And my mother brought me in the kitchen in his house and told me that I have to protect him. And that in order to protect him, I got to take his guns. Don't let that nigga carry no guns. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, Pac was, he was almost out of control and nobody could say nothing to him.
Pac would he like 2 guns at a time.
Double down. Red, I seen Pac carry 2 Macs. Yeah. Pac had 2 sub-automatic
you talking about guns
in his shorts. Like he had shorts. And he had 2 Macs in his shorts, man.
But you know what, man? Getting shot, do that to you. Do that to you because I remember when I got robbed, I was, for a while, I was like, I used to circle the block before I got out of my car, look at everything walking on my street, you know?
Yeah, man. Pac was paranoid, man. When he got shot, and then I understand why, because Pac walked into a shooting gallery, man, and he walked into it like that because he trusted what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? He trusted what he was doing. He trusted the people that he was going to see. You know what I'm saying? So he was still strapped, but he wasn't expecting to be ambushed. You know? Correct. And I understood his paranoia after that, man, because I was mad because I wasn't with him. Correct. You know what I'm saying? I was mad because I wasn't with him, man, because the one thing, man, that's for certain, man, Pac should have been protected. He should have been protected. And I understand the economy that this dude, he don't listen. He does what he want to do. He's hard to handle. All that shit is true. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All that shit is true. I know that for a fact. Yeah. So my thing is, whatever happened then, you know, it's a tragedy, but I forgive it. I forgive what happened. I forgive. I don't think anybody at Death Row had anything to do with Pac getting hurt. But like I said, I think that he should have been protected more. You know what I mean? And that was the only thing.
And but unfortunately, in a car and sitting in a car, other than boxing him in and all of that, there's nothing you can do.
You know what I have? So this is what I would say. And I didn't know this until recently because of podcasters. When you listen to these stories, I listen to Kefi D, I listen to you, I listen to Mob James, I listen to all the Death Row cats and Kefi D. What I came to understand was that all of y'all grew up together.
Yeah.
Y'all grew up together. You know what I'm saying?
Compton is 8 miles wide. Everybody knew each other.
I've been to Compton. My son lives on 118th and Compton Ave.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I know the area. I don't know the area that well, but I know what you're saying. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But I discovered that all you guys grew up together, right?
Correct.
And the gang banging culture was something that Pac was familiar with more so than us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because of that gang banging culture and because of what transpired, I would think that Death Row, the Mob Paru, would know that after what happened with Pac and Orlando Anderson and everybody else, there got to be some protection around this nigga.
You know, they said that they were over there talking about. I never heard about it. I didn't hear about the fight. I didn't know about the fight. But from listening to Neckbone talking all that, they kind of knew, and they said that they were on like alert. It was like an alert that they knew it was going to be. They just didn't expect it to happen
right then.
Driving there, right there,
right. And I heard Neckbone. And by the way, man, your interview of Neckbone, Vlad's interview of Neckbone, very, very revealing.
Yeah,
I learned a lot listening to Neckbone, man, and you know, shout out to him, man, because man, his story is amazing. What he was able to live through, and what he was able to accomplish in his life, and where he's at today, man. Shout out to him, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But Reg, bottom line is, you know, we lost a legend. We lost someone that could have changed the world.
I agree.
You know, and all of us paid for it, man. You know, and the only way that we can honor Pac's death, man, is to help other people, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw an interview recently.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Reg.
I saw an interview recently where he was talking about what, you know, which $37 million not a lot today, but back in I gotta remember when Pac was talking in '95, that was like a crazy amount of money. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, you know, people have why would you need $37 million? You know, you know, to win the lottery or something like that. You need to be doing that to help people. Mm-hmm. And to the echo what you saying, that's what his mindset was in the '90s. And what you're saying right now was he don't want $37 million. He said he want that money to help people.
Exactly.
And invest it into the community.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I would like to see, Reg. You know, us as black men and living the lives that we lived during the 80s and 90s, man, statistically, we're not even supposed to be here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But because we are here and we are survivors of the 80s and 90s, man, we have to pass it forward, man. We have to do the best we can to help young people coming behind us, man. Yeah. I know that's a tall task, and I know that you know, some of us try at different times to help people, but that should be something that we owe to those that we lost, man. You know what I mean? Especially as we get older and we realize, man, the error of our ways back in those days. You know what I'm saying? We have to do better, you know, and we have to do it individually. You know, I have to do it. You have to do it. John has to do it.
Exactly.
You know, we just all have to do something differently, man. Try something differently. And I know that that's like, you know, it's the truth though, Reg. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. So we lost Pac. You know, we lost Big. You know, we lost probably 200 other rappers.
Yeah.
Since we lost Pac and Big. You know, what are we going to do about that shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I really do believe Pac's death and the way he died have educated and helped a lot of people to step up their game and to be more security conscious and stuff like that. And, you know, how Drake or this NBA young boy and all of them moving out, they move different. They walk around, you know, with 4 or 5 guys walking around them, and they move different, you know. I contribute that to them knowing how Pac died and they not wanting to go out like that. That's all.
And shout out to them, man. Shout out to those young men who took Pac's death as an example
Yeah.
to move differently, man. Shout out to those young men, man. And Reg, you know, I'm impressed with a lot of young people that we see in today, man, in our culture. You know, the things that they're doing and how they're representing the culture, man. And, you know, shout out to them, man, because you're right. You know, there are young people who are moving around today like, after understanding what could happen to, what happened to Pac and what happened to Big, you know what I mean? And others, you know, they're moving differently. You're right about that, bro.
Yeah.
You're right, man.
John, do me a favor. Take Mike Dorsey and tell him on 8:15. Yeah. Just tell him 8:15. Oh, he coming on now. Is that you or is that you?
No, that's me.
Okay.
I did want to ask William a question though. Kenneth, he said, Bill, do you and the family have any contact with Billy Garland? And what are your thoughts on him and how he showed up later on in Tupac's life?
So shout out to Billy Garland. So I feel differently about things like that. Like some people in my family have their own opinion, you know what I mean? And they are entitled to that. But me, I feel differently. Billy Garland, back in the 60s, was a young Black Panther soldier. You know what I mean? And his story rings true. What he talked about during that time of how sex was, free. Sex was, not when I say free, but I mean, it was everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was abundant. And, the way him and my aunt hooked up was doing the movement. And after Pac was born, he was never found. No one knew where he was at. That's pretty typical during that era, especially in the Panther circles.
But Bill, let me just say this. I won't cut you off there because there were times when the Feeney, and they came out during the trial. I don't know if you know this attorney, Donald David, and now when they found out what he was suing, and that's why he went on to settle for the $1 million, where his family members was coming to testify that Feeney did try to reach out for help and send letters and all of that.
Right.
And he wanted nothing to do with it. He even tells stories of, so not how he wasn't a father, but how he abandoned Pac during times when she needed help. You know the struggles and everything she went through. Right. And so we have testimony and all of that where she did reach out and try to get and want help with Pac at the age of 12 and stuff like that, where he pretty much was like, I don't want nothing to do with him. I ain't got, I'm doing my own thing right now. Then he come on YouTube, tell stories, and he always want to bring up his kids and stuff like that, and then say stuff like Pac was peeing in the bed and all that. Now I know he's just trying to humanize it and all of that, but then you come on there on do YouTube or do stories, and then you up in the kids, and then always down in pockets it appears. So that's my only problem with Bill. Yeah,
I get you on that. And I didn't say that. I wasn't going to say that he was in Pac's life. In fact, I was going to say he wasn't in Pac's life, right? But
no, I know that. But it seems like you were going at Feeney. It was a hookup, and it's not his fault that it was a hookup. That we was giving him a pass and not been in his life. But I'll let you finish. I shouldn't have cut you off. I just want you to know that because I don't think everybody knew all of that. Because I remember sitting there, in the deposition and stuff when that was brought up, and that's what made him go ahead and settle for the money.
Right. I was there during the trial. I watched Donald David tear him to shreds. I watched all that. I was there. What I was going to say is that during the time, you got first of all, man, you can't hold, you can hold people accountable, but at some point you have to move on from the shit, right? That's my thing, right? People don't have to agree with me.
I get you on that.
People don't have to agree with me. This is my position. I stand on my shit. This is my position. Sometimes you have to let shit go. You know what I mean? And Pac's been dead almost 30 years, right? Billy Garland wasn't in Pac's life. And then when he died, he tried to get half of whatever that was going to be left to Afeni. And because he was never in Pac's life, the judge obviously decided against giving him half and gave him what he gave him for the sperm. He gave him he ordered Billy Garland to get what he got because of the sperm that he donated to Afeni. So obviously Billy Garland was never in his life, but he was a man that made mistakes like most men do. He made mistakes. He's in his mid 70s or late 70s now. I don't hold no grudges against Billy Garland. He's in his late 70s, you know what I'm saying? And he made his mistakes. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be mad at him. I'm 62 years old. I'm gonna be mad and have a grudge against someone who made the mistakes that he made and paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have an opinion about Billy Garland except for that he's a man that made his mistakes, and I don't have no issues with him.
Respect your opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the one thing that I learned in my life is that I have to be accountable for my shit. I can't worry about other motherfuckers' shit. You know, I mean, I can have an opinion, but I'm not gonna hold a grudge against a person who make mistakes just like I make. You know what I'm saying? I make mistakes too. I'm no better than Billy Garland.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't judge the hookup or anything like that. That's not my business, and that's not my reasoning for making a statement. My reason for the statement is the Johnny come lately type attitude. That's all.
Yeah, but that's what we see in a lot of households with black men and black women, and it's not all because of, you know, there's a lot of underlying issues that go along with that. Why Billy Garland wasn't available in Pac's life. We see that in a lot of black households, right? And we see it in some white households. Why the man is not there. And for whatever reason, for whatever reason that may be, I can't hold judgment on that person because I could have done the same thing. And I'm not gonna.
And I got it. And I got you on that. I think I go hard on that is because he always make it like a Feeney's fault. And all I'm just trying to say, it wasn't a Feeney's fault because she tried.
Yeah, she did try. I mean, like, but you got to also consider, like, Afeni, my aunt is fiercely independent, right? She's fiercely independent. And my aunt, when Billy Garland wasn't around, you know, there was other men who in Tupac's life who filled that void, you know, that Billy Garland never stepped into. You know, my father filled the void. You know what I'm saying? Legs filled the void. Matulu filled the void in their own way.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But for me, as a black man, I'm never going, like, you know, he has to be responsible and held accountable for his shit, but I'm not going to judge him because of it. You know, I'm just not, that's not how I move. That's just not how I am, because I made a lot of mistakes in my life, a lot of mistakes. And people can look at me and judge me by my mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And they will be wrong if they judge me by my mistakes, man, because I'm a much better man now than I was back then. And we got to give everybody that grace, man. Everybody deserves that grace. Everybody deserves that grace, because none of us is perfect.
Yeah,
none of us
I get what you're saying. It's just that he comes across on YouTube and he try to make it's everybody's fault but his, and that's all I get. That's the only problem I have a problem with him.
I listened to his interviews, Reg, and I didn't really get that. I heard him be accountable for his mistakes, and that's why I can say what I say. I'm saying, like, I don't remember hearing him blaming Afeni. Maybe he said that he lost contact with Afeni. I don't remember what he said word for word, but I remember what I got out of listening to his interview. And what I got was that he was a man that made mistakes. You know, he made mistakes. You know, he wasn't there for Pac's life, but Pac had other men in his life that stepped in. You know, Pac had good men in his life, man. You know what I'm saying? He had my father. My father was my mother's second husband. She married him when I was 9 years old. And when she married him, he took care of all of us. He took care of all my mother's 5 children and took care of Pac and Setua. And he was a great example of a man, because he got up and he went to work every day. He paid our bills. And even when the Panther people would come around, he would stand firm and protect his family. Not saying that the Panther people was trying to do harm to us, because they weren't. They were great people. We loved them. But he was a different type of man. He was a man's man. He took care of his family. You know what I'm saying? And Matulu was a good man in his own way, and so was Legs. But they weren't as solid as TC, my father. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't solid as him. So Tupac had those role models in his life. You know what I mean? And he didn't, you know, maybe he missed Billy Garland because that was his father, and he didn't know until he was older, and he missed having that relationship and that bonding with his dad. But he had other men who in his life that stepped in. So now that Billy Garland is almost 80 years old, I'm not going to be the person to throw stones at him. You know, I'm just going to say, well, he made his mistakes, and I hope he learned from them. You know what I'm saying? He raised other children, and apparently he did a good job with them.
He did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
It appeared that he did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is, man.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll go away from that. I done gave the idiot some content for the week. But anyway, this guy keep asking this question. I don't even know where he's going with it, so I'll go ahead and ask it right quick. He said, "Hey, Bill, when you watch Higher Landry and watch Omar Epps, don't you be like, that could have been Pop, but that stupid person lied on you?"
Say that again?
I guess in the show, Pac was supposed to have been in Higher Learning.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they gave Omar Epps, and he just wanted to see your opinion on, do you ever watch it and feel like that should have been Pac's spot?
Yeah, when it first came out, I did, because I was there when John Singleton called Pac and told him he wasn't going to get the role. And I remember how Pac reacted. You know, Pac was very angry about that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, when I watched it when it first came out, I thought about it, but I didn't really dwell on it or anything like that. It was just, you know.
Bill, if you got time, I got this other guy. He got some not breaking news, but some news. And I just want you to hang on there and stay on with us. But this producer of this show called Murder Rap, I don't know if you ever met him. His name is Mike Dorsey. Mm-hmm. He's the one who's been putting out the stuff about the Tupac and Biggie stuff. Mm-hmm. He got a channel called Murder Rap. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he's a hell of a editor and producer, and he be putting together some nice documentaries. But I was bringing him on, number one, so he could talk about some of the shows he got that he's been doing, because he's been dropping episodes, at least 2 or 3 a week. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, he got some breaking news about Kefi D that's going on that we was going to talk about. So, Bill, if you could just hang on, because, man, I got a few questions. And,
absolutely, man. Let's
Mike
do it.
Dorsey, the busiest man in show business. What's going on?
Hello. How you doing, Reggie?
You ever met my boy Bill Lesane? That's Tupac's cousin.
I don't think so, no.
How you doing? What's your name, Mike Dorsey?
Mike Dorsey, yeah. Nice to meet you.
How you doing, Mike Dorsey? Pleasure to meet you, man.
Thank you.
He got a channel called Murder Rap. If you ever get a chance to go check it out, Tate, man. He spends the time. He do what YouTube, I think, really want people to do. Go and break it down and put content to it, not just throwing out opinions. And he does a great job. A lot of people don't like his channel. Not a lot of people, but the few nuts don't like it because they just don't, they got their own agenda they want to push. Mm-hmm. But if you really just listen with an objective mind, you'd be like, okay, what could be said? He does a great job of breaking it down. So if you have a good chance, Murder Rap, trust me, it's worth listening to.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, the channel is on.
I'll check it out
on YouTube. But he also did. He's also the guy that did the books. He was Greg Kading's partner. He's actually the guy that Greg Kading's did all the police work. But he put it to screen and to documentaries and to, help the consult on Saab. He's the guy that interviewed and gave the questions, the Kefi D on the BET thing, so him to come out and confess to, and to be honest, me and Vlad like to take the credit for having something to do with getting Kefi D arrested. Mm-hmm. But if we keep it real, it was this guy's work and him being diligent and keep contacting the Vegas PD that made them reopen the case. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know your partner Greg. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I know your partner Greg Kading.
Yeah.
I met him several times. We contact each other every now and then. I appreciate the work that you've done, and it's good to meet you, man. It's the first
Thank you.
time meeting you.
Likewise. Thank you.
So, Mike, would you tell the Bombs First community what you learned? I saw you post a nice little post on your channel, community guy.
Yeah.
And
So it's interesting, the ongoing saga of Kefi wanting to, make a show out of his story and this case that he's facing, this trial that's coming up in August now. And so they Deadline announced today that they are that he and his family apparently have teamed up with a production company called Pioneer Productions. I think they're out of the UK. And they're a pretty big production company. They do a lot of shows. They're a legitimate company, and they're supposed to be doing a documentary about his trial, like behind the scenes with his defense, and I think his son and him, and some producer I hadn't heard of knows them and has their trust, and I think he's the one that went out with this project and got Pioneer to sign on and do it. So apparently now there's going to be a documentary about it, and there'd been murmurings about another person out there doing one.
yeah,
but
that's
this
what I'm
was,
gonna say. What
legit.
happened to that clown RJ?
I don't know, man. RJ, I guess it seems like RJ a few months ago when Kefi switched lawyers again, put out a press release, I think, announcing that he was doing something with them, with the lawyers. And he announced their first press conference that they gave when they took on the case. And he was there filming, supposedly with the crew at that first press conference. So I don't know how that fits into things, but this article about Pioneer Productions and everything doing a doc didn't make any mention of him. So I don't know what the story is on that. And he's been silenced, I think. So
Yeah, well, hopefully he's not behind the scenes or anything. Like I said, I don't wish too much depth on Keefe D like I should. But I just want the truth to come out, and just let the truth come out and let everything play like it wants to, like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I hear
Bill,
you,
what's your
Reg.
opinion on that?
Yeah, I hear
what's
you,
your
Reg. My opinion is similar to yours. I'm not surprised that Keefe D's family wants to not cash in, but want to kind of take advantage of the landscape that we have today where, stories, people like to tell stories, and you can get paid for it now. It's different than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The landscape today is much different. So I'm not surprised. Matter of fact, I heard from a source that Keefe D's family was doing a documentary, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, we
But
all thought it was this guy, RJ Bonds, that was doing it, to be honest. But from what Mike learned today, it doesn't appear. Now, he could be in the background.
yeah,
I'm sure he'll go breaking news. He'll go breaking news tomorrow and try to insinuate like he's in the background, which is possible. We can't say. We don't know.
Well, what I heard that it was a company in UK. I heard that. And it's not just that company in the UK, it's another company here that wants to do a documentary or have Keefe D's family members in a documentary that they want to do about Pac. So I'm not surprised, but I'm gonna echo what Reg said. As far as Keefe D is concerned, my issue with Keefe D is is the fact that he was in the car with the people who killed Tupac, but that's not the main issue. The main issue for me that created trauma for me was this guy going on TV, on social media, on different platforms, bragging about being involved in Tupac's murder. He was bragging about it, man. He was bragging about it proudly. You know what I'm saying? And that bothered me. It bothered me for two reasons. Number one, I couldn't do nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing I can do about it. And number two, it just reopened old pain and trauma and grief that we suffered. And this guy's on TV literally laughing about that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was a problem for me. And as a result, I hope that Keefe D is held accountable for the role that he admitted to playing in my cousin's murder. He has to be held accountable, you know, and that's all I wish, you know, as long as he's
Well
held
said.
accountable for what
Totally
he
agree.
did, then that's that.
Totally
You know what I'm
agree.
saying?
Totally agree. Well said.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it no better.
It is
Yeah.
ironic that this all started because Kefi went public and went on TV and YouTube and everything, and now it's like you can't stop. You can't
know
stay
what?
away from the cameras.
Yeah, you know what, my friend, like, I didn't know who Kefi D was. I heard his name before, you know, like back in 97, 98, when I was in LA, I already knew what happened to Pac. Like it was already in the street, you know what I'm saying? And people was pulling my coat. They was telling me what happened. But even when they was telling me, no one ever mentioned Kefi D. No one, they mentioned Von Zip. They mentioned Orlando Anderson, obviously,
Yeah.
but no one mentioned Kefi D. I didn't know about Kefi D until I got a call from Greg Kading. And that was in 2004, 2005, or somewhere around that, 2006. I got a call from Greg Kading, and I went to visit Greg Kading at his house, and we talked about it, and he told me the whole play. That's when I started hearing about Kefi D. But when I saw him on platforms bragging about the role that he played in my cousin's death, that's when it all became different for me, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's his own words. He confessed to it, and then he
yeah, he
confessed
confessed to
again
it.
to
So
Las Vegas.
I don't know what his defense is going to be. You know, I got some plans of how I'm going to publicize the fact that he willingly confessed on TV and in a book of his role in Tupac's murder. So, you know, I'm just going to do my best to, you know, exploit his own confession.
And this gentleman that you're talking to, and I hate to keep cutting you off like this, but he got the audio. He's been putting up the audio. I'm telling you, you listen to this channel, you're going to be, because he got all the audio taping and all of that. So he's been putting it out. And like I said, it's just people that want to hear it, they hear it. You know, I'm glad he's building this channel up where he gets like 80,000 views and stuff now when he puts stuff out, you know, over time. But it took a while to grow. But you gonna be impressed when you hear the stuff that he has for what you want to do.
I believe it, man. I believe it. And Mark, possibly, man, I may be getting back to you. You know, I have Greg Kading's number. You know, and Greg Kading and I have a very good relationship. You know what I'm saying?
His name is Mike, just so you know, Mike
I'm
Dorsey.
sorry, Mike. I
That's
called
okay.
you Mark. I'm sorry, brother.
That's okay. People
Forgive
call me
me.
Mark all the time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mike. I apologize. But so yeah, man, I may want to reach out to you, you know, and perhaps, man, you know, we can work together because, you know, as a family member of Tupac Shakur, I want to be visible when Kefi D's trial starts. I want to be visible and you know, it's not like I want to, you know, I just want to shit on Kefi D, even though I have the right to, but that's not my style. What I want to do is expose him for his confession, you know, and for the stupid shit that he did. You know, I mean, let's be honest, it was stupid. Like, what person go on national TV and confess to a murder,
right,
thinking that he has immunity?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just want to expose that stupidity, you know, of his own confession. And you know, man.
And he had a lawyer present when he did that BET interview too. This is crazy. Guy just
Yeah.
sat there and watched him reconfess all over again.
All over again. And like Greg Kading, he gave me the whole play. He gave me the play way back then. He told me the whole layout of what we all know to be true based on what Kefi D said out of his own mouth. He said the same exact thing that Greg Kading showed me evidence of Kefi D's confession, you know, you know, so this is not new to me, but what was astounding to me was that the guy actually confirmed everything that Greg Kading said out of his own mouth.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I'm looking forward to his trial. And like I said, man, I want to be visible. And you know, my family, other members of my family is not into that. Like they very quiet, you know, and rightfully so. But you know, me personally, I want to have some kind of voice when Kefi D is going through his trial. I want to be a voice for my cousin. You know what I'm saying?
Especially now, especially since they trying to give him a voice to humanize him during the trial.
Right.
That's what they're gonna try to do.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Good point, Reg. You know, especially because he now has a voice disputing what we all know to be true, because now he has to be held accountable. And that's what that's my issue, man. If you're gonna go on national TV and expose yourself like that and then turn around and act like we didn't hear what we heard, then I'm going to do my best to amplify what you said. You know, I'm gonna amplify what you wrote in your book. I'm gonna amplify what you said on TV. You know? Period.
John, get rid of that clown East Oakland for me when you get a chance. Yeah, okay, so cool. So Mike, what you got coming up? You got any major things coming out lately? In the near future?
Yeah, well, I'm going to post my last episode of the new season for Murder Rap next week. It'll be on the Jake Robles murder.
Oh, Big
Atlanta.
Jake, okay.
People have been asking for that, so I do look at what people ask for in the comments, and if I can do an episode, I do it. So that's been one people have been talking about a lot. So I'm going to talk about Big Jake, and then I just I'm starting a new show with one of the big networks, so I got to take a break for a few months while I go and do that. And then, but I got at least a dozen more episodes of Murder Rap of a deep dive that I plan on doing on the channel. So,
gotcha.
As soon as I can get back to it, I'll do more of those. And then just looking forward to the trial coming up. Hopefully, you know, it keeps getting delayed. It was supposed to happen.
You know he's gonna take a plea deal. Everybody thinks it's gonna be a trial. It's gonna be a plea deal.
That's what's kind of funny about
okay.
That's what's funny about the documentary. You know, it's gonna. I talked to Greg earlier this evening, and I was just like, it's going to be a 10-minute documentary because he's going to plea out. If he's smart, he'll plea out. I think the big question, though, is that now that it's almost like a conflict of interest that they want to, because now it's no longer about what is maybe best for Kefi's future as far as like his defense.
It's about them getting paid.
It's about getting a documentary made, right? And there's no documentary really if he pleas out. What's it about then?
Yeah,
it's a 10-minute documentary about some meetings where they say you got to plea out, and then he pleas out, and then he goes to prison. Like that's the end of the story. So I do wonder if it's in his best interest to do some. There's nothing good. I mean, Greg was
I get it.
There's never a good idea to make a documentary about your trial.
Yeah, but Mike, you got money to pay for attorney. When you need some money to pay for attorney, you'll do whatever.
You'll take the risk, right?
Yeah.
I can see what Mike is saying about what's the point of him copping a plea, when all his money is on the table as far as he's concerned. And also, what I consider
extra 10 or 20 years, Bill.
Yeah, that's true too. But what I think also is that Kefi D might have some information that he wants to.
You don't think he already played it? He done already played it.
Yeah, he did, but he never played it in the court of law. Like he said it he said it to Greg Kading, and he said it on TV. But I don't know if he ever said it in the courtroom, right? But I don't know if that evidence that he claims he has, that he, what he said about Puff and everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they already came out. They came out this week and said that they're not even bringing up anything about Puffy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think Las Vegas cares about Puffy. They got their
they don't care.
Guy, and they're gonna focus.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thank you for that, because I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
But they are. I will say this though. I do know. I think this is public information that this came out that the people that have been the feds that have been prosecuting Puffy have been the information sharing has been happening. I think that was out there that anything they find that might help them, they're giving that information to the feds. Yeah.
Good point. That's what I heard too, Mike. That's why I'm based on what Reg just told me, but that's why my thinking was that, perhaps Kefi D is going to, say something in the courtroom that's going to, prolong the trial. I don't know. I don't know, but
Well, he
like I
already
said,
said it. He said it on ABC News. He said Reggie Wright Jr. did it. He already made his play. That's his play.
yeah,
He made his play, and he made his play.
yeah. Reg, why you think Kefi D claimed? I mean, I don't understand why he says one thing implicating Puffy, and then say something that implicates you.
Well, because I was been the most vocal person going after him.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Katie's agreeing. But I've been attacking Keefe. I attacked his family, his wife. Who has attacked Keefe D more than I?
Yeah.
Nobody.
I also think though that Keefe, he needs an alternative theory. And one of the alternative theories, of course, is the conspiracy theory about Reggie. So if he can drag that accusations against Reggie into the trial as an alternative theory to help his defense, he's gonna do that if a trial happens. He's desperate. Like how do you defend against multiple confessions
Right,
to a crime?
exactly.
You say
Right,
you were
but doesn't
making it
that
all up, which good luck getting everybody to believe that, and then you
right,
put out this alternative theory, which is going to be very easy to blow apart if he tries
right,
to do that.
exactly.
So I don't know.
That's my thinking. Like you said, like this alternative theory that don't hold any weight whatsoever. Like who's going to believe that? Like you spent 15 years claiming something else, and then suddenly now, out of desperation, you're going to drag in Reggie and implicate him as a co-conspirator in Tupac's murder. That shit doesn't make sense to me. But like you said, it's desperation. I lived the criminal lifestyle myself, man. I've been on trial twice. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of understand desperation, but this type of scenario to me is just far out of my understanding. Like, why would you implicate Reggie when you already implicated many times over another person, except for out of desperation, which to me
And
makes
you got to
the best
remember,
sense.
I went to the grand jury on him. I was talking about it on YouTube. Telling him, "Hey, they coming. You been investigated, dog." and I laughed at it. I didn't come at it as like a friend. I came at it as a clown. Only reason I came at it as a clowny because he started clowning. He started saying Paul got shot and he was breaking dancing
break dancing in the back seat.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was Reggie, between me, you, Mike, and John. What Keefe D said about my cousin, it was like a 500-pound gorilla on my back. You know what I'm saying? His confession and all that stuff, the way he bragged about it, it was like a 500-pound gorilla on my back. Because I was sitting at home in Georgia, watching on TV this clown confess to killing my cousin and making fun of it. And there was nothing I could do about it. That was like a 500-pound gorilla on my back that I had to shake off, man. I had to shake that 500-pound gorilla off my back. So now, there's no doubt in my mind. I know what death row, I know what happened at death row. My family was involved in that. You know what I mean? I know what happened. I know what death row's role was in everything. And it wasn't in killing Tupac. I believe that with all my heart. I believe that because there's a lot of factual information, not conspiracies or not theories, but factual information that points opposite to that, to me. That's just to me, So my position stands, unless I see something different that's factual, not not a conspiracy theory or not a theory, or something that's factual. Until then, my position stands, and that's what I'm gonna run with.
Any question that a reasonable person has to ask could be justified. Just like, the no gun thing. I bring evidence to that. I got a book, there's passage in the book. You just heard some audio about that. It's just everything could be justified. But hey, neglect, well, or negligence. Yeah, maybe Right Way is. Reggie's not, but maybe Right Way did some negligence. But only thing Frank really did negligence was not notify people what had happened at the hotel, so we could protect them. Better. Like you said, we didn't know. But to be honest, I don't know if I would have been smart enough if Frank would have called me and said, "Hey, Reggie, we just jumped this gangbanger from Compton and beat him up at the hotel." I might have been saying, "Well, y'all niggas better lay low. Go stay in the hotel tonight. Don't come out because the police looking for y'all." That might have been my reaction. But I don't know if I would have been smart enough to say, "Well, let me send 4 more guys, 5 more guys to transport y'all." When I know you got the likes of Muntree, Neckbone, Trayvon, K-Dub, and all those guys in the entourage with you, I would have felt that they were sufficient enough.
I feel you, Reg. Like, even I asked myself the same question. Like, if I was there with Pac, and he suddenly bum rushes a gangbanger, what would I? And you know what I said back during that time, during that era? You know what I probably would have did, Reg? I probably would have jumped the kid too. I probably would have ran and stomped him.
Exactly.
I probably would have did the same thing because Pac did it. So I probably would have. But also, I say to myself, if I was my better self, I would have stopped him. I would have stopped him and I would have got him out of there. You know what I'm saying? But Reg, I was young, I was wild.
Yeah.
And there's a side of me that would have did the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
And Suge tried. Suge really, I catch a lot of bad rap because I really believe Suge tamed himself more than what he normally would have. Because if you really look, Suge was trying to get them off Orlando. He sneaks one kick in, but for the most part, Suge wasn't kicking like other people were.
He wasn't trying to kick a field goal.
Now, Suge, from what I saw, Suge was kicking the shit out of him. But
you don't know who Suge is on there. You think that's Buntry?
Suge is the guy in the white suit, right?
That's Buntry. See, that's
Buntry.
Buntry was doing the whole wind-up kick. Like
wait, that's Buntry in the white suit?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
In the hat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't know who Suge was in that.
All the way back.
All these years, I thought that was Suge, man.
Oh, that's Buntry.
What?
One thing I'll say, though, Reggie, that I don't think Frank's going to pass for also, and it wouldn't have saved Tupac's life, but Frank also lied to detectives that night about what happened earlier. And I know the reason he did it was probably because Tupac was still alive and he didn't want to talk about the fight at the MGM and potentially get.
Did that lie happen about the chain? Because I don't think I talked to Chain that soon. I didn't talk to Frank that soon.
But Frank straight up lied that there had not been any incident earlier that night.
Oh, got you.
When
That
detectives asked, was any because they're trying to figure out who could have done this. Did you have any altercation? Anybody? He lied to their faces, and I know later on he tried to claim, that he was getting threats, but that happened. If that happened days or weeks later. That night, within hours of it happening, and as a result of that, it's very possible that had he told them
they shut down. They
lost valuable evidence. They would have pulled more camera footage from the MGM.
That's a good point.
They might have figured out where Orlando Anderson was staying before they left because they ended up staying the night and they didn't leave until mid-morning the next day. They could have caught these guys before they left, but Frank lied about it. And I get why the various Pyrus that were around didn't talk because street code, but Frank's professional security guard.
But now let me just say this though. Vegas at that point made a decision not to listen to us. Because I always say I play double agent and double side. I stepped to the detectives outside the hospital and identified myself as a retired cop, and that I don't know what happened yet. I just know it was something about a incident at a hotel or something like that. But I will be filtering, getting information, and I'll be getting it to you. Here's my business card.
That's a good point. Both of y'all brought up, man, because Frank
they shut down on me.
He probably was respecting the street code at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And didn't want to
say, yeah.
I get why he didn't.
I agree. I agree with you, Bill.
Yeah, he was probably respecting that, but you know, like I said, man, in hindsight, you know, we all believe that, you know, some of us should have did things differently, man. But at the time, man, that's why, you know, at the time, I've accepted what happened to Tupac, man.
Yeah.
At the time, people were young. You know what I'm saying? They really didn't know what we know now. We don't, you know, there were some mistakes made, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I've accepted it, man. But like I said, the gorilla that was on my back was watching Kefi D expose himself the way he did about his role in my cousin's death.
If
And
anybody knows, that's when I turned on him. That's exactly what I
that shit
turned
was
on him.
unacceptable, man. And thank God for social media and platforms. Now people like me have a voice because before, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, our voices wasn't heard. You know what I'm saying? And the way we felt wasn't told. We couldn't tell these stories, but now we can.
Yeah.
You know?
Mike, have you ever did a deep dive on that part about spelling that part out?
Which part?
About what you just said about Frank Lyon and all of that. I swear this is the first time I heard
haven't
of
done
that.
that. No, and I could too, because he went eventually, like weeks later, he went back and corrected the record. But by then, of course, you know, valuable
by
time
then,
had
because
been
the feds
lost.
had contacted him then. They had
By then
contacted
they
him.
knew
That's
he
when he
lied.
started hiding them from us.
Yeah. By then they realized he'd lied and lied by omission. And he went back and corrected his statements as a result of that, and admitted.
And didn't Frank do a documentary about his story, about what happened?
Yeah.
Him and another guy?
He wrote a book first, and then that's the other guy we were talking about earlier, the R.J. Bonds guy.
R.J. Bonds, yeah.
Yeah, that's a major clown.
Yeah.
Major
I met
clown.
him. I met him and Frank. Years after Pac died, they came to Atlanta.
To the house. Yeah, they came to the
Yeah, and I met him, you know, and
that unfortunately that's how Afeni gave them a lot of credibility by giving them that interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't know no better.
Yeah, we, you know, like I said, if it wasn't for if it wasn't for YouTube, if it wasn't for these platforms, because a lot of these platforms is divulging information that we didn't know. You know, we just didn't know. But the more I listen to these platforms like yours, Reggie, like Arts and everybody else's, and people coming up and being very forthcoming about what they seen and what took place, you now be able to put these pieces together and have a little more clarity of what happened, you know? And that's just the truth, man. You know, we was blinded by Tupac's death, man. I was in jail. My mother was on her way to Vegas. Fanny was, you know, so, you know, it was.
Well, she was actually on her way to L.A. Yeah, she was on her way to L.A.
She was on her way to L.A. So was my mother was on her way to Vegas. You know what I mean? And you know, we was blind. And by the way, man, after Tupac died, we thought we was next. For years, we thought that, and when I say we, I'm talking about the Outlaws and myself. We thought we was next. You know what I'm saying? We thought that they was coming to kill us too. You know, so we was always on survival mode. We was always in an intense, you know, we always had an intense attitude, man. We was always in this protective mode, man, where we thought we was going to be next. So obviously we didn't have the ability to think clearly about what happened, you know, and then all the information that we now know wasn't available to us then. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct. Yeah, because people wasn't talking. Oh,
people wasn't talking. Well, people on the street was talking, but we wasn't able to put all the pieces together, you know, and then it wasn't, and what they were saying wasn't verified. It wasn't verifiable. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But, and then based on the work of what Greg Kading did, you know, he pretty much opened up a whole can of worms of what took place and was able to connect all the theories that we had to make it all make sense, you know?
Correct. I always give Greg all the credit for the work that him and his task force did. You know, he got to the truth on a lot of different things, and people don't want to believe it, you know, but that's just the people that have other agendas. And I always say you got to look at people's agendas when when they talking. What is their agenda? What is their reason for saying that?
I agree, Reg. And then a lot of people, man, just want to believe what the fuck they want to believe. I don't mean to curse on your podcast.
No, yeah.
A lot of people, they just want to believe what they want to believe, man. And no matter how much you try to convince them or something, because there was a lot of people in my ear about Suge's role. And I was like, man, you know, first of all, what you're saying does not make sense. right?
Yeah.
Why would, and then I try to dispute what their claim is, and no matter how much I try to dispute it, they're gonna believe what they're gonna, and then they're gonna think I'm crazy for believing what I believe.
Believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it make the thing about it is, man, I've been living with this for over almost 30 years, man, and my conclusion has always been the same, man. Pac was at death row, and there was, him and Suge had a connection, and I was pretty clear on how they felt about each other. Pac never said anything bad about Suge around us that I can recall. You know what I mean? And I know what kind of person Suge was, and I know how he felt about Pac. Suge liked Pac before he came to death row. He was trying to get Pac to come to death row even before he came, but that didn't work out. And then the people that was around Pac, even though they were banging and Pac was adapting to that lifestyle, they were solid people.
Yeah.
They wasn't creepy, compromised people. You know what I'm saying? They were who they were. You know what I mean? They were gangsters. You know what I'm saying? But they were solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a hard time believing that death row was complicit in Pac's.
I'm going to ask you this question, because there's just a clown, this certified snitch. I mean, he got on the stand, testified on his co-defendant, worked with the DA and everything. And he's in our chat right now. And so his question to you is, how are you mad at Kefi D for getting on the internet telling them stories, but you're Reggie's friend and booked the interviews, and he booked the interviews, what he meant? Make it make sense, Bill. Now, let me just say this. When Reggie got on the internet with Kefi D, bought Kefi D, I asked my crowd, my fan base, I said, I can't pay for it because he wanted $500. And I did a poll. And I said, this guy want to come and talk about his book and do all this stuff. Mike Dorsey had already had him on BET and did whatever they did, but he was a hot commodity at the time. And so I go and ask everybody, I said, hey, y'all want to do it? I said, I can't do it. I'm not giving this clown no money. And but if y'all want to do it, y'all want to do it. Bomb First people, they Tupac down, they was like, no, we don't want him over here on Bomb First. I passed his number to Art the Dialogue and Vlad. And they both, they elected to do it, mainly Vlad. So this clown is out here now telling his people that I'm the one that booked the interviews and this and this. So this question to you, because he's going to do a whole big segment on you tomorrow about this, talking shit, because he just need content so bad so he can make his little $500 a month so he can go to Bangkok like he go to play with his little boys, because he always by himself, never with a female, always traveling by himself because he like to go play with little boys out of the country. But he asked this question of you. How could you address that?
I don't know what. Say the question again, please.
He want to know, how are you mad at Kefi D for getting on the internet telling the stories, but you're Reggie friend and he booked the interview? So he's trying to say I'm the one that pretty much brought Kefi D to the internet, which I think is a great thing because that's what got Kefi D locked up. But
yeah, whoever asked that question,
it's a guy named Choke No Joke. He's a clown that got a YouTube
Choke
channel.
No Joke. That's Choke No Joke.
Yeah.
Choke No Joke.
Certified snitch. I hope you never deal with him.
He's joke, man.
Wow. He is a snitch.
I know
he got on the stand and told on this.
I know who he is, man. I know who he is, and I know who he is.
They slap him around like a little bitch.
I'm not going. I ain't gonna go. I
know, but I do. He talk about me every day. His whole life is about Reggie Wright.
And
yeah, but I won't do you like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, for Choke No Joke, the reason why, first of all, saying that I'm mad at Kefi D, I'm not mad at Kefi D. What I said was that he was a 500-pound, by him confessing that he killed my cousin, it was like having a 500-pound gorilla on my back. I never said I was mad at Kefi D. So that's not the message that I was trying to convey. Kefi D had a role in killing my cousin, right? So instead of being mad with him, what I said was that he should be held accountable for what he did. That's it. Being mad at him is going to do nothing for me, right? It's going to do nothing for me. I'm very clear about how I feel about Kefi D. Being mad at him is not going to do nothing for me to make me healthy or make me better. But he should be held accountable for his role in my cousin's death. Now, the other question about me being on your platform because you tried to have Kefi D on your platform, that shit ain't got nothing to do with me. Like I'm not caught up in.
I refuse to have him on my platform.
I'm not caught up in this. I respect the platforms. I respect YouTube and I respect everyone's platform, but I'm not into this. I'm not into that. I'm not into that, man. I stand on what I say. You know what I mean? And I stand on the way I'm dealing with my cousin's death. Stand on that, man. I'm not in this for clicks or clickbait or to create controversy or to create, that's not my style, man. You know what I'm saying? So choke, no joke. I'm not going to feed into whatever you're trying to do to create this fitna or confusion. I'm not feeding to that. I respect your platform for what it is, but I'm not feeding to that, man. Like my issue with Kefi D is my issue with Kefi D. He should be held accountable for what his role was in my cousin's death. That's that. I'm not.
Hey, snitch, no joke. I know you talking about suing me now. Hey, I ain't said nothing about you that's suable. You did snitch on your co-defendant. You did get on the stand and work with them. So, let's go to court for that. Let's go to court for that.
And
He just typing this in the comments.
Reg, I don't the snitching and like people with these histories. Like, if you check my file, you'll see I am who I am.
No, he wasn't talking about you. He talking about me, baby.
Oh,
He's not talking about you.
Okay.
No, he's talking
and
about
even if he's talking about you, like I like to see less of people going at each other all the time. Like I see what he posts about you, man. And I'm like, like even if you felt that way about Reg, why would you post that? Like, why you can't just have a conversation?
No
like
you
just can't have a conversation with someone and let them know how you feel. You got to post that on a platform. So what it can't be for no other reason than to get a click.
Yeah.
And I'm just not into that. That's fitna. That's confusion. That's not my style. I don't roll like that, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
I just had to ask the question because I didn't want to be like I'm ignoring because he kept posting it, and so I wanted to give you, the chance to do it. But I'm like, I don't give him no light over here because I just think he's a clown.
That's crazy, man. Like I see it all the time, and I don't, like choke, no joke. I watch some of his content and some of his theories, and I watched it and I had some respect for what he said, but just to be messy and like the cat fight, I'm not with that shit, man. I ain't with that shit.
Okay,
but I answered this question the best way I
move on to something else. You did.
Yeah.
You did. All right, Joe. No more. I'm not going to answer anymore. So you can type all you want. You say you don't have no co-defendant. I don't know what he was called, but you testified. You got on the stand and snitched on him. The man told the story.
Yeah. I don't know nothing about that, but that's it. Whatever, man. But what's the next question, Reg?
All right. John, you got something?
I know we last had you on, Bill, when we had Jeff Pearlman on to talk about his book.
Oh, yes.
Was there anything in his book that you disagreed or that you wanted to speak on, just to give you a chance to clear any air or talk about anything you want to in regards to that book, good or bad?
Yeah, good. Thank you for the question. I read Jeff Pearlman's book. I didn't want to be critical of his work until after I read his book. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And after reading his book, what I found was a lot of misinformation that he had in his book, man. And I think the misinformation that he put in his book was as a result of him not doing the due diligence that was required of him to do when telling a story about not only my cousin, but my entire family. And I think that what he wrote was just something that he put together. He probably did interview the people that he said he interviewed, but I don't think that he did the due diligence on what they was telling him. I don't think that he tried to cross, what's the word? I don't think what he heard from the people that he was interviewing. I don't think he tried to verify it in any way, shape, or form. So what he ended up printing was a lot of misinformation that was slanderous and libelous. And you know, I didn't want to publicly condemn his book, you know, because I didn't want people to take my condemnation and then buy his book. So condemnation and then buy his book. So what I did was I wrote him a letter, and I wrote him a letter pointing out some of the stuff that he wrote in the book that wasn't true, and some of the stuff that he said in his book that was slanderous. And I told him that, you know, it was an insult to my family. And I wrote him a letter, and I told him that personally. But I didn't want to go on social media and condemn his book for fear that people would take my condemnation and then buy his book. You know, people do that shit. So,
gotcha. Okay.
That's why Puffy never wanted to condemn murder rap publicly, because he knows it just brings more attention to that.
Yeah, exactly. Would have brought more attention to his book, and I didn't want to give him that.
His lawyer, he had his lawyer threaten me behind the scenes instead.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, he said some things about my brother in the book that was untrue, and I advised my brother to sue him. You know, my brother is contemplating on whether or not he wants to do it, but you know, it's that serious. You know, stuff that he said in my book, man, in his book, and you know, but you know, Reg, you know, people are going to say things that are not going to be true. He's not going to be the last person to write a book about my family. You know what I'm saying? And there's going to be other books that's going to come out where there's going to be inconsistency. There's one book that I urge people to read, and that's the book by Stacey Robinson that she wrote about my cousin. I can't remember the name of it. I got the book somewhere close by, but Stacey Robinson, she wrote a biography about my cousin and my family that was very, very, very accurate, very, very entertaining, very, very on point. And I would urge people to, if you want to read like a in-depth book about Tupac and my family, I urge that you go buy the book that Stacey Robinson wrote about my cousin. And you would see, I read both books, and I compared and contrasted both books. And I can see the inconsistencies in Jeff's book as that was in Stacey's book. I can compare it and see the thorough work that Stacey did, and see the lack of due diligence that Jeff left out in his book. I can compare it. Yeah, yeah, that's the book right there. Thank you for posting that, man. Yeah. Thank you. But that's the book right there. You know, I read both books, and I can tell, you know, clearly where Jeff veered off into this. You know, Jeff, in his book, there's a lot of writing in his book that points to his own personal perspective about Black culture. And because of his lack of understanding of Black culture, it shows up in his writing. So you read stuff in Jeff's book that doesn't make sense from a person of Jeff's background, but makes all the sense in the world to us. And when Jeff writes about it, he writes about it in a way that's disparaging towards what we all know and understand in our culture. And that's a lot of what I read in Jeff's book as well. The lack of cultural humility, the lack of cultural understanding. You know, he doesn't have that. He's writing about a rapper, a hip hop guy who was also a son of a Panther, who was also creative, who was also a poet, who was also conflicted, who was also, you know, Pac has a lot of complexities that is very difficult for someone outside of our culture to write about, you know?
Yeah. A guy that follows you on Isaiah, a guy that he comes on our channel a lot, Zachary Washington, wanted to say shout out, Bill.
Right on. What's up, Zach?
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach.
Yeah. Well said, Bill. On that.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I apologize for bringing you into my little internet beef, but I thought I needed to let at least you address it because he would make a whole hour video about you being on this channel, and hey, you told him how you felt. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, choke no joke, man. Like I saw some of his content and he speaks intelligently sometimes, but the last video that I saw the clickbait directed at you, and it was
about Kevin
it was,
Hackey.
I was like, damn, come on, man, we grown men. Are you really gonna attack this man on social media like that? Like,
he does it at least once a day, Bill.
That's whack, man.
Yeah.
That's where I get
him and Del Rey once a day.
Yeah, and I like Del Rey. I like Del Rey. By the way, Del Rey is if we're talking about Del Rey.
No, we're not. We're not talking about it. Fuck him.
Okay.
We're not.
Okay.
But okay, I'll let you keep your opinion on that. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though I always say I think he's smart, I just think he just he, in my opinion, is what you just said about Bill. Not Bill. Jeff Pearlman.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he sees stuff and he don't know how to relate to it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I think, man, people have their own perspectives on things, and I don't agree with all of it. But what I don't like is to see people. I don't like the people going back and forth attacking each other.
I don't even call about their names, so you have to know who I'm talking about to even say that I'm talking. But they attack me daily. Call me a rat or a federal informant. Whoever I ever informed on that went to jail. Whoever I ever ratted on. But hey, that's what they want to say. Yeah, but it's all good. Let's see what else we got. I should have brought up Choke. Everybody in the comments down about Choke.
Bill,
let me scroll up before I started talking about Choke, because that's what all the comments are about right now.
Bill,
go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Do you have any stories or memories about Big Syke that you can share with the audience?
Big Syke, thank you for that question, man. Because I definitely love to talk about Big Syke. Big Syke was someone that I admired, man. I liked him so much, man, because he was very, very thorough, man. Not only was he talented, but he was thorough, and he was able to, even though he had a gang-banging background and a gang-banging, he was a gang-banger formerly, he was able to transform himself into an artist and stay as an artist, and I got along with him great, man. I liked him a lot, man. And I went to his funeral when he passed away, man. I was devastated when he passed because I had a great relationship with Syke. And I knew him for a long time. And, he was just a stand-up guy, man. He was a stand-up guy. I miss him a lot.
Hey, Bill, I heard you, not you, I heard your sister mention Dre. He said, no, that's not what she said. She said somebody that was Edie's cousin, that's somebody, your sister or somebody married. Was she talking about Big Dre?
No, she was talking about Big G.
G, that's what I meant, Big G. Okay, I didn't know that.
You remember G?
Okay, yeah. Big G was my boy. He the one kept us in line.
Yeah, right.
He was the go-between.
Yeah. You and Big G was doing a lot. Like when you mostly dealt with Big G. You didn't deal with me. You dealt with Big G.
Correct. Yeah.
Big G.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, how's he doing?
He's doing good, man. He's my loved one. He's doing good.
Okay.
We got a lot of history, but Big G is doing good, man.
Tell him I said, what's up? Yeah.
I will, man. Yep. You remember Big G.
Hey, that's what I always think. Big G. G kept my job easy with dealing with the laws.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, when she said Edie's cousin, I was like, she gotta be talking about Big G.
Yeah, that's Edie. That's actually Edie's uncle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were married. And Big G is like.
So he married one of your sisters, or
he married my sister Moo.
Okay.
Yeah, he married my sister Moo. And They were always very, very close friends before they got married. And, you know, he's still very, very close to us, man. He's just, you know, he's just someone, man, that we love. And, you know, we're going to always love him. We're going to always love Edie. You know, look, the connection is so deep, man. It goes back decades. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's just one of those things, man, where we're going to always be connected. We're going to always love each other. And we're going to always be connected. Edie, G, you know, that whole side, we always going to be connected to them.
Matter of fact, your boy Mo Preem got a book about to come out. You got an advanced copy of that yet, or?
Nah, not yet, because he said it don't come when it comes out
February 27th, I think.
Yeah, I didn't get an advanced copy because I didn't think there was available. I saw the ad online. Maybe I misread it, but I will get, because I was plotting on that book. I'm gonna get that book and I'm gonna read it, because Mo goes back a long time with us too, man. I've been knowing Mo since he was 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? So he goes back a long time with us, man. He's another brother that I cheer for and wish the best for. We're not as close as we were back in the day, but you know, he's still family.
Yeah. Well, man, Bill, if I talk to you all day, man, you could talk, boy. Well, you got the history, and you could talk. We're going to do this more often with you, Bill.
I appreciate it, man. You know,
I appreciate you more.
No, I appreciate it, man. And like, you know, I respect people for who they are, man. You know, and you know, I've known you from back in the day, like in the 90s, but you know, just watching your work, man. Like, I like how you brought Netbone and Mob James, man. You know, what I like most about your interviews with them is that they go deeply into the trauma of what they was involved in, man. And what I like about it is that we all, like, I survived a lot of trauma. You know what I'm saying? I survived a lot of violence, and I survived jail and drugs and all that. And just to hear people talk about their past like that, and then are able to learn from it and move forward, you know, that just makes me feel good about it, man. And, you know, that's what I'm all about. I'm about transformation. I'm about people growing, becoming better every day. Because if you don't grow, you die. You either grow or die. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm seeing in your interview is of people who had that lived that lifestyle, but was able to get out of it and survive it, and now trying to do something different with their lives. I'm all about that.
Respect. Yeah, respect that. Well, Mike, I hope one of y'all be calling me to say, hey, hook me up with that brother. I need to talk to him. And I'll be glad to hook both of you two up. And trust me,
great.
Bill, if you get a chance to go check out some of the murder rap deep dives, you'll be very impressed.
I believe it. I'm gonna check out an episode after I get off the phone.
Yeah, he do both Biggie's and some of Tupac's stuff, but he definitely have a lot of the audio of Kefi D's confessions. Those are the real good things you want to hear. Yeah,
cool. Good work, Mike. Thank you, man, for that hard work that you put in, man. And I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Thank you. Nice to connect with you.
Absolutely, man. Reg, I'm gonna text you my number. You got my number? Give it to him.
Okay, I'll do a group text with us as soon as we hang up.
All right, do that for me, Reg. I appreciate it. When I touch down, I'm gonna hit you up.
Okay, appreciate you, man.
God bless you.
Shout out.
Peace.
All right. So, Mike, you got anything you want to tap in on us right quick and just to throw to the audience?
I don't know, man. I feel like there's so much to talk about. What haven't we talked about yet?
I know, man. I just want people to go over there and check out those deep dives.
Yeah, I mean,
over there.
It's funny. I tallied it up when I post the next episode, which will be out next Thursday, about Big Jake's murder. It'll be about 7.5 hours of content that I've created now across those 30.
We got to get you on Tubi or something where you could take it on TV.
I mean, if you combine that, I did the math. If you do, I mean, a 1 hour show on television is actually 45 minutes of actual content, right? That is 10 45-minute episodes. It's like a 10 episode season basically that I've created on YouTube that's free to watch. So, and people that don't know that I created Deep Dive because I made Murder Rap, and Murder Rap is like an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 50 minutes, something like that. And there was so much stuff that we didn't have time to get into in that. And there's so many interesting side stories. I mean, the first cut of that movie was probably like 2.5 hours long. and there's so many things we had to cut out, and that always happens when you make a documentary. And all these case files is like, there's so many interesting side stories. And then the movie comes out and people ask questions and you're like, oh man, I had that. I wish I'd put that in there. You know, like people asked, I remember when the movie came out, one of the big things they asked was, well, you know, why didn't Kefi try to get paid more? Like, why didn't he put more effort in getting paid? I'm like, he did try to get paid afterwards. So that's one of the reasons I did the whole episode about all the efforts he claims he made to try and get paid for the murder afterwards. So that is my reason. And I've seen people come to the channel and, you know, the conspiracy theorists always going to have their, oh, I'm, you know, doing this because for the feds, or I'm being paid by the LAPD. And like, it's like
they
so
only
ridiculous.
do, huh? Yeah,
I'm clear. I'm like very, like, first of all, I'm telling you right now, the LAPD doesn't no longer, this is not anywhere near a priority for them anymore, these cases.
yeah.
Like, they are a giant department with way more pressing issues. This probably isn't even in their top 1,000 most, you know what I mean? Like highest priorities.
In their mind, to be honest, they feel that it's solved. They really feel that
that's
it's
the other
solved.
thing. They won't officially clear it, but yeah, I think they know what happened, and there's no reason to keep working it. So they don't care what like a handful of conspiracy theorists on the internet think. You know, no disrespect to anybody, but they don't care anymore. So about that, anyways. So I'm doing this of my own because I think it's interesting, and clearly people are interested in it. So give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
And
well,
I think
cool.
and it's always like evidence based. It's never, you know, rarely my opinion, you know. It's just the people that try to claim, oh, you know, people trying to blame Greg Kading for what Keefi's going through right now. It's like Keefi's in jail because of Keefi.
They keep his mouth shut. Yeah.
Yeah, like we didn't know he was going to do the BET interview
Greg
until we
actually
heard about it ourselves.
He gave him his lifeline, to be honest.
Yeah, Keefi walked for years on this case. If he just kept his mouth shut publicly, he would be walking free today. He chose to go on BET, and then I think when he saw nothing happen to him, he chose to then go on YouTube, and he chose to write a book, and those are all his decisions. So the idea that there's like some puppet master behind the scenes pulling the strings on this is like completely ridiculous. He's his own man. And he makes his own decisions to do these things. So, you know, again, I found out about the BET thing after that video got leaked, that promotional video they cut with him saying about how he was going to go public. I was like, holy shit, he's going to do this? Like, I got to be a part of that. So, yeah, he's in this situation because of where situation he's in, because of his own words.
His own doing. Exactly.
100% his own doing. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Okay, well, Mike Dorsey, appreciate you, man. You and this guy named Rodney and Melissa podcast. I check every morning to see what y'all put up, to see what y'all got going on. So, yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for coming over. That update on Kefi D, and wow, yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
he's in this situation because of videos,
money. Yeah,
and now he's gonna keep. I guess it's poetic to just keep going with the
but you know, to be honest, you gotta if RJ not, he didn't come through on probably what he promised with the lawyers, with the attorneys and stuff, and you gotta hustle up and you gotta get the attorneys. So.
I mean, I will say that he's definitely teamed up with a legit production company. They do.
They good.
They do shows with major networks. So but the other thing this is very important to keep in mind though, the way the business works. They've announced that announcement about doing a documentary with Pioneer Productions they probably put out a press release. Production company did, right? What they did not announce is where that documentary is going to be, and depending on how they do things, typically how production companies like that work is a producer like this guy that's friends with Kefi, apparently, or acquaintances with him, that has gone to them, this producer who did the Blade movies, who gets mentioned in the article. He will go to a production company, pitch them this idea. I got access. That's always the big thing. I have access, unique access to these people. Nobody else has. We want to do a thing. They go, great. We love that idea. They then still have to go out and sell it to a network, typically. Most of the time. We got to go and get some network to pay for this. We're not going to just.
Well, you got so many streaming companies.
You know,
You got the
so
Zoots.
they've still got to go and sell it to. They got to get a network to buy it, and I did not see any mention of like a Netflix or a Hulu or whoever
Gotcha.
saying we're going to make this. So it's not a definite thing that is happening unless they're making the very unusual step of self-funding it and then hoping they can find a home for it afterwards. Which, you know, it's harder than ever right now in the business to sell a TV show. That's a very risky thing to do to spend $1 million+ to make a documentary and no hope, no with no knowledge of where it's going to go afterwards. So I'm interested in
Yeah.
seeing like, how it all plays out if they actually end up getting a network involved or a streamer and actually end up
Gotcha.
like really making it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, Mike Dorsey, once again, keep up the great work, man. I'm 20 minutes over what I promised, John.
Oh, thanks, John. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, John, let me have it.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Google, stop. I heard my boy Luka Doncic got hurt, so I got to go see what's up with him. My Lakers is going to shit, and
Yeah.
I'm all sick. So I've been getting texts all day. Luka hurt. My boy Almighty Trey, I got to ask that question right quick because he's a big supporter. He wanted to ask you, he said, how likely is there an appeal? I don't know what he's talking about, appeal. Kefi D ain't been convicted yet.
Well, if he
Well,
gets
could it be a-
convicted, how likely is it that he wins an appeal? Well, I mean, what can he win on? Ineffective counsel.
Yeah.
But he's going to have a hard time with that if he's making a documentary about his counsel.
Ooh.
It's all going to be recorded. You know what I mean? So like there'll be a record, a better record than normal of how good they did, you know, defending
and
him.
things that they were advising him not to do or what to do. Yeah.
Look, I think it's like you've been saying, Reggie. What he's going to do is most likely, if he's smart, they've already started doing this. They've already started filing to get evidence suppressed.
Yes.
They filed a motion twice now. They filed a motion and then pulled it, withdrew it, and then filed it again, trying to get the raid on his house, that evidence suppressed. So what they're going to do?
Have that been answered yet? Have they answered to that yet?
I don't think that's been. I don't think that has been officially. I think the prosecutors filed their own response to it, and it hasn't been decided yet what's going to go. I mean, I've talked to one of my best friends who sadly passed away recently. She, when that first got filed, she just said that's a long shot. Like that's
Okay. Gotcha.
to get that. They're trying to claim that because that it shouldn't have been a nighttime raid, that there was no justification.
Don't he know his sons be on? Don't he know his sons be sending pictures of people with guns and stuff all the time?
Yeah, I think it's a long. I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like a long shot thing. But what they'll do probably is they're going to file all these. They're going to try to get various things suppressed and see if they get lucky on something and get something suppressed. Because anything they can get, any evidence they get suppressed weakens the prosecution's case, and it puts you in a better position to then negotiate a plea.
What could they have found?
The plan.
Mike, what could they have found 23, 24 years later that's still in his house? John always tell me about magazine articles and merchandise and stuff like that.
I wonder. So first of all,
you know what, Mike? I you know what? This boy, he got to go. I got to go.
Give me 60 seconds. Give me 60 seconds. I'll answer that question really quick. They, sorry, John. They, the fact that that's the first thing they try to suppress tells you that there must be something that they are concerned about. My guess is the thing they're concerned about is any communications between him and the author of his book, because he's trying to distance himself from his book. And if there's, chapters or emails or anything like that where he's like giving the guy information, that would prove that, the book is legitimate, which, I mean, he went on Vlad TV and held the book up and said, this is the truth. I want you guys to read it. But still, if there's any, that's the only, I'm just guessing, but that's my guess is that's the main concern, is that stuff related to his book was taken into evidence, and it would prove that he, that the book is legitimately, from him, not just he did an interview and the guy went and wrote the book without him and he doesn't even know what's in it, which is, I think, what he's been claiming. So that's my guess. All right. Sorry, John.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Everybody over here. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. All right.